What's good, Orange Nation? This is Neil Adler with your latest episode of Syracuse Central via FanArch. And we're going to do Syracuse football today, both at the pro ranks and in college. And we're going to start out with a little bit of an update for several former Syracuse football players who were in the NFL. So just like in college, we've got preseason training camps going on. Same thing going on in the pros. And a handful of Syracuse guys are playing for pro teams. We'll see if they end up on those rosters, if they get traded, if, hopefully they don't get cut, etc. But we're going to start out with Syracuse's record-setting quarterback from last year, Kyle McCort. He led the country in passing yards a season ago. He set all these program and ACC records. He helped Syracuse to a 10-3 overall mark. They were number 20 in the final AP poll, and he was selected late in the 2025 NFL draft by his hometown Philadelphia Eagles. Now, when I say hometown, Kyle grew up in New Jersey, but he went to prep school and he was a 5-star prep recruit in Philadelphia. So it's a homecoming for him. And over the weekend, Philadelphia, which as we all should know, won the Super Bowl a year ago. And Kyle it seems like he's trying to take a stab at the number 3 spot. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is number 1, and I think the number 2 primary backup spot is pretty well in hand at this point. So he's looking to maybe be the number 3 guy. And so Philadelphia at home, they played Cincinnati and they won the game by 7 points. And Kyle, unfortunately, did not have a great game. He completed 1 of 5 passes for 8 yards and he threw an interception. Now, to be fair, we always want to provide context here. A couple of those passes he threw were drop balls. And the interception, I'm not 100% sure it was his fault. But anyway, the stats don't look great. Unfortunately, I saw some of these articles online after the game saying, he got to get booted right now. And I'm like, hold on. The chatter's been that Kyle has done well in preseason training camp so far. He had 1 bad outing. He'll have another shot in their next preseason game. So let's slow the roll there. But still, it's something to note. And I'm obviously wishing Kyle all the best because he just was awesome this past year. He represented Syracuse both on and off the field so well, and he did wonders for the program under first-year head coach Fran Brown. So we'll keep tabs on Kyle and the Eagles as they look to repeat as Super Bowl champs. Moving on to one of Syracuse's best wide receivers a year ago. That's Jackson Meeks. Jackson Meeks plays for Detroit, which had an awesome past season. They were the number 1 seed in the NFC. They got upset by one of my hometown teams, the Washington Commanders, in the divisional round. But anyway, Detroit, really good. And so Meeks plays for Detroit. And he caught a handful of passes for 78 yards and a score in their preseason game. They defeated Atlanta. Unfortunately, the game was halted in the fourth quarter. A safety for Detroit, Maurice Norris, he had a pretty bad, scary injury, and he was taken to a local hospital via ambulance. It looks like he's going to be okay, but we're obviously sending him our best wishes. And the players for both teams decided that they were going to snap the ball in the fourth quarter and just let the clock run out. And so the referees ultimately called the game. And so Detroit ended up winning unofficially or officially, however you want to put it, 17-10. But as I said, Meeks was great. He caught multiple passes for 78 yards and a score. He had a 68-yard grab, catch and run, and it was awesome. And, maybe he'll be a factor for Detroit this season. So that was pretty cool. LaQuinn Allen in his debut for Jacksonville, a team that was not good last year, but they're trying to make their way back up a little bit. They lost to Pittsburgh over the weekend at home. And LaQuinn, he didn't carry the ball at all, which I found to be a little interesting, but he did have 4 catches for 20 yards. And LaQuinn, was an all-ACC performer for Syracuse the last 2 years. And this past year, he had over 1,000 yards rushing and over 500 yards receiving. So his skill set as both a traditional running back, as well as, some guy that can really catch the ball out of the backfield and pile up yards as a receiver, that makes him more versatile. And there have been reports out there from ESPN and other places saying that Jacksonville likes LaQuinn as a third down back who can catch passes out of the backfield, run for short gains, block, with proficiency. So, he didn't do much in this preseason game, but hey, listen, It's a preseason game, and he looks to carve out a role with Jacksonville. Last but not least, one of my favorite Syracuse football players in recent years, former All-American running back Sean Tucker. He's playing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they beat Tennessee over the weekend at home, 29-7. And Tucker had, I believe it was 13 carries. Yeah, 13 carries for 50 yards and a score. So we're pleased by that, no pun intended. And Tucker's got a role with the Bucs. He's still young in his career, but he's looking to carve out more playing time, and so we're happy for him. So we'll continue to monitor these guys and other guys, former Syracuse football players that are in the pro ranks, and certainly wishing them well. And we'll see how it goes. It's a little crazy for me to think that in a couple weeks we're gonna have both college football and then the week later pro games. It's just summer's flying by. So that's our NFL update, and we're gonna move on here, and we're gonna talk about Syracuse football tight ends. So one of Syracuse football's tight ends for this upcoming year is Jamie Tremble. And he was one of the highest ranked recruits for Syracuse football in the 2024 class out of Georgia. Just an ultra athletic, freakishly athletic guy, versatile tight end, in terms of both blocking and pass catching. Didn't play much last year. Then again, not a lot of tight ends for Syracuse played last year because Arande Gatson III was there, and he was an All-American last season. So any event, head coach Fran Brown has had positive things to say about Jamie in preseason camp so far, saying you're going to like what you see out of him, even if he doesn't get a ton of reps, because Dan Villari looks to be the starting tight end. But anyway, reports came out in the last few days that Jamie has been sidelined for a lot of the preseason camp due to muscle spasms in one of his legs. But Syracuse football coaches, let's take a breath, fans. Syracuse football coaches are saying that this is a precautionary measure. They're holding him out by and large in preseason camp just to make sure that he's fully healthy when the season starts in a couple weeks. So I don't necessarily expect Jamie to not, be on the depth. I would assume that Villari will be 1 and Jamie will be 2 on the depth chart come week 1 against Tennessee and Atlanta. But it's something to monitor. As far as Villari goes, let me tell you, Dan Villari, he's a former quarterback at Michigan. He's from Long Island in New York, transferred to Syracuse. In 2023, when Garrett Schrader went down at quarterback, Villari stepped in and ran the Wildcat offense for a couple games, and he became a fan favorite. He's tough. He's physical. He's just cool. I like that guy. He seems like a good dude, and he's just, he's a team player, and he's going to step into a bigger role this year with Gatson, in the pros. Villari looks to come in, and he didn't have a lot of production last year, and his grades, Pro Football Focus, all those grades, which, I take with a grain of salt, they weren't super great. But part of it is he didn't get a lot of reps, and he was also transitioning to being a full-time tight end, and he's got kind of a different style than Gatson. He's more of a physical bruising tight end. Gatson is just a ultra athletic tight end, and so Villari's going to get a lot of reps this year. He's going to get ample chances to play. Syracuse football coaches have said that a lot recently. And I'm intrigued by our tight end room. Obviously, we want to see Jamie Tremble fully healthy. And I think him paired up with Villari, I think they could be a solid tight end room for the Orange. So, we'll see how that all shakes out. But, let's keep, positive vibes going with Jamie Tremble. And he looks to be good to go for the start of the season. And Villari, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. So we're going to move from there, and we're going to talk about the All-ACC teams. So the preseason ACC media poll came out, in recent weeks, as they do across the country for all the different leagues. And they talk about the rankings of the teams as well as the all-league player awards. And take it all with a grain of salt. It can give you a sense of what media members are thinking in terms of who's going to be good, what players to watch, etc. But the games are played on the field, so let's not worry about that too much. But Syracuse came in at number 12 in the in the ACC preseason media poll. whatever. They were 12 last year and they tied for 4th overall. But the All ACC preseason team, the only person from Syracuse that was on it is punter Jack Stonehouse, who has that great mustache. That thing is just awesome. It has a life of its own. The memes and everything are just completely, the possibilities are endless with Jack and his stash. He's an All-ACC punter from the last 2 seasons, so he was on the preseason All-ACC team, and that totally makes sense. But no one else from Syracuse was on it. So what do I think? Looking at the Syracuse roster, what other players do I think could, and again, this is all speculation. They haven't even played their first game yet, and we're talking about this, but it's fun. So who do I think could make the All-ACC teams? And there's 3 teams and then honorable mentions. So I'm just kind of making it one umbrella. Well, at quarterback, we don't even know who the starter is, but let's say, it's going to be either Steve Angeli or Ricky Collins Jr., but let's say whoever starts has a fabulous season and Syracuse against that tough schedule, wins 8, 9, 10 games. Could be all ACC, one of the teams, or definitely an honorable mention. Absolutely. I think Yassine Willis, the running back, presumed starter at running back, although Will Nixon is going to get some quality reps as well. I think Willis could be an all ACC performer at running back. Wide receivers, you got the transfer, Jonte Cook, as well as Darryl Gill, who I believe has the highest production at receiver from last year. He had over 500 receiving yards. They lost a ton of production, so he's going to be one of the main guys. Absolutely. Why not Dan Bellari? On the defensive side, it's a little tough to tell. They've got a young secondary. They've got a ton to replace on the defensive line. But if I got 3 guys that I'm thinking, and feel free to tell me that I'm completely off base here. One is Derek McDonald, the linebacker. He's a veteran, been around for a while, and he's going to be one of the key leaders of the team on the defensive side. And then you got 2 defensive backs, Devin Grant and Deuce Chestnut. They both had, some solid games last year, whether it was at cornerback, safety. Guys get moved around in secondary some. I think those 3 guys all could make a run at all ACC. We'll see how good. I'll be curious to see how good the Syracuse defense was not very good last year. I mean, they had their moments, and but they gave up a lot of points, and they lost a lot of production in the secondary, on the defensive line, pretty much everywhere. So hopefully the defense will be better, and look for those 3 guys to make their mark. So those are my thoughts. I'm curious what everyone else thinks out there. So drop some comments if you feel like it. But we're gonna end this segment with something personal for me. So in week 1, which is less than 3 weeks away, Saturday, August 30th, Syracuse plays Tennessee in Atlanta. And it's personal for me because my son lives in Nashville. So I'm down there a lot. Between there and Baltimore. And I actually like the Vols because it's my son. It's one of his favorite teams. And he likes Syracuse too, so I'm not a terrible dad. But it'll be interesting to see. There'll be definitely trash talking between my son and I, but it'll be interesting to see how Syracuse fares in this game. They're like I think 14 or 15 point underdog. It's a non-conference neutral site game. Even though Tennessee, Knoxville, I would assume is a lot closer mileage-wise to Atlanta than Central New York is. But I don't know. I think Syracuse has a shot in this game. Tennessee has to replace their star quarterback from last year, just like Syracuse does. These teams haven't played each other a lot. And Fran Brown ain't scared of anyone. And I hope there's going to be droves of Syracuse fans there. And, if Syracuse loses, and if I had to pick, I'd probably pick Tennessee to win. I mean, they're in the preseason coaches poll from last week. They're number 18. Syracuse got some votes. Tennessee, in recent years, has been a better team. They play in a tougher conference. They were in the playoff last year. So if I had to pick, just like putting my homerism to the side as a Syracuse alum, I'd probably pick Tennessee. I mean, we also don't know if there are, injuries, knock on wood, for either team, and I don't want anyone to be injured on either team. So I'd pick Tennessee probably. But do I think Syracuse can win? Heck yeah. Fran Brown, he ain't scared of the SEC. He used to coach at Georgia. And, and I know there's no moral victories and losses and all that, but this is, week 1. It's one of the marquee games. I believe it starts at noon. It's a nooner. And Tennessee will come in being ranked. Syracuse, again, wants to show that they can hang with the SEC. So at the very least, I hope that Syracuse puts forth a good effort and keeps it close, even if they don't win. But I have one other thing to say. I am so sick and tired of stuff on social media where, and again, I like Tennessee and I root for the Vols if they're not playing my alma mater. But like the orange emoji thing where Tennessee fan sites or just whatever, or national media outlets or anyone talking about Tennessee uses the orange emoji because they have orange uniforms, just like a lot of other teams. But Syracuse is literally called the Syracuse Orange. Only we should be using the orange emoji. So I hope it's a great game. I can't wait to talk about it with my son. But all I got to say is if Syracuse wins, can we please not use orange emojis anymore, Volunteers Nation? And I say that with a lot of respect. And I'll be rooting for Tennessee pretty much every other game this year. But and obviously I'm saying this all just joking around. But I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a litmus test for Syracuse. Early part of the season, brand new quarterback, no more Kyle McCord, playing in SEC power that went to the playoff at a neutral site. Oh, Syracuse, please don't throw up a dud. Please they're going to play hard. Every game with Fran Brown as the head coach, Syracuse is going to play hard. But I just hope they don't lay an egg. We'll see. It should be fun. I'm excited for it.